Good morning. I'm Rita Santamaria. I'm the owner, founder of Champion School of Real Estate, and I welcome you to our monthly interview. We have two amazing champion superstars, one out of San Antonio, Kat Lodge, and the other out of Houston. We have Susan Brock, and I will formally introduce them in a few minutes. But first of all, I want to say to all of our students out there, without your business, we do not have one. And I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for choosing to be a champion. I also want to say hello to San Antonio students, hello to Austin, hello to Fort Worth, most definitely Plano. And in Houston, we have our beautiful new Houston North Campus right on the Grand Parkway. We have our beautiful Galleria campus at 610 near the Galleria. And then our Highway 6 West campus on Highway 6 near Katy in Fort Bend County, which is a huge growing county as well. And then our virtual students. Virtual students, you kept us going last year during the pandemic, and can't thank our virtual students and teachers enough for that. We got ourselves together in about 24 hours, and on March the 15th, off we went with the virtual classroom. It is still out there. It is exciting and very robust with enrollments. And as well, we have our interactive online that we just rolled out. It's online with lots of interactivity. And I am so proud of that particular delivery method. Thank you to the team that put that together, headed by Kurt Knobloch, one of our vice presidents. And then we also have our very, very popular online correspondence. Thank you, Kimberly Didelowitz, the president of our company, who takes care of day-to-day operations, and Debbie Blazes, HR, and Liz as well, keeps everybody going and flowing with lots of wonderful new employees, as well as our amazing longtime staff and teachers. Without you, we would not be the success that we are. And those are my thank yous from my heart, but mainly to the students for all that you do. This morning, I'm going to start with San Antonio and introduce Kat Lodge. She is an agent with D'Ann Harper, Coldwell Banker. Hello, good morning, Kat. How are you?
Good morning, Rita. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Champions, I'm a big fan of it. So I did my training through, and it was one of the best steps I ever took in general in my life, in my career especially.
Thank you so much. And I did that on purpose because I wanted the students to be surprised. I don't think they expected from our San Antonio superstar to have that beautiful Australian accent. And I'm sure that woke everybody up. Let me tell them a little bit about you. She has her certified luxury home specialist designation, and she was the 2019 San Antonio Business Journal in the top 25 in the industry. She is in the Platinum Top 50 as an honoree and recognized every single year with Platinum Top 50. And we so admire that particular group. And we are a sponsor for Platinum Top 50 San Antonio, Austin. And then as an individual agent with her company, D'Ann Harper, she has been in the top 10, 2019, 2020, and I'm sure without any question in 2021 as well at the end of this great year. So welcome, Kat Lodge from San Antonio. Happy to have you today. And then we have Susan Brock of Brock and Foster. And Susan has been in real estate for 21 years. I say that because when she tells you her story, you're going to be so impressed because you look at her and you're thinking, how could she be in real estate for 21 years? Because she is so young, and you'll find out how that happened. She was in the top 20 under 40, or in the top 20 under 40 for HAR in 2014, recognized by Forbes magazine as a top leader in the industry. I am so impressed. Texas Monthly Magazine has her in the top 1% of our industry. She's been featured in the Houston Chronicle, the Houstonia magazine, consistently gets 5-star ratings. But I want you to know, and she's going to tell us more about it, her niche in real estate is being the sports and entertainment broker for the NFL, the NBA, the MLB. And I know we really have everyone's attention now because Susan and Kat, you are at the top of your game, and we couldn't be more excited to get to interview you today. So I'm going to start right out with Susan. Susan out of Houston and with Brock and Foster. And tell us, how did you get started in real estate? What was your defining moment?
Hi, Rita. Thanks for having me on today. And I started in real estate in college. I was actually my sophomore year in college, and we decided to flip a house. And it took about a year to flip the house, but we made a really handsome 6-figure check at the end of the process. I went to my advisor and I asked her to get me out with a degree. Any degree was suitable. I knew my profession, and it was not associated with the university at all. It was real estate.
That is truly amazing. Talk about getting that impact of that first check and going, okay, I'm going to get my degree, but wow, I have found a way to make really good money in real estate. So the advisor, I'm sure, was quite surprised. And how soon after that did you start in real estate and get your license?
Sure. So it took me, I was taking my champions classes while I was in college. And so I fast tracked that. I think it took 4 or 6 months. And then I actually got my broker's license as soon as humanly possible. Back then, that was 2 years. And so I opened my own brokerage my second year in the industry.
Well, that's the other question I was going to ask is how soon did you open your own brokerage? Last month, the 2 that I interviewed were people like yourself that had opened their own brokerage soon after getting their license. And congratulations on that. We're going to talk a little bit more about your niche in real estate, but let's go over to Kat for just a moment. And Kat, tell us about your defining moment. How and when did you decide to get your real estate license?
Well, I had my degree in journalism, and I was working as a corporate communications writer for the Federal Home Loan Bank in Pittsburgh. I tell people it's like Fannie and Freddie, but the other one that no one ever talks about. So yeah, FHL Bank in Pittsburgh. My husband got transferred for work down here to San Antonio, and so I was having to start over again. And we had on the move down here, we had bought a home, then we sold a home, and then we bought another home because I wanted to be in a better school district. And through that process, I thought to myself, I can do this. And then I also thought to myself, it would be a job with really flexible hours, which it's not. But I thought at the time it would be really flexible hours and fun to do. And then I did my training with Champions through correspondence. I had 2 little kids at the time, very little. So it provided that flexibility for me to learn what I needed to learn and be able to do that from home. So that's what I was able to do. And then I joined Coldwell Banker straight after I got my license. So that was about 6 years ago.
Okay, so you joined Coldwell Banker like right away, right on the front end. And I know you've been in business for 18 years, and both of you have certainly a great experience. And let's think back on that experience when you were a brand new rookie. What kind of feeling did you have as a new rookie in the office, D'Ann Harper's amazing, great office in San Antonio? What was your feeling and how did you get started? Kat, can you take care of that question?
Well, when I was starting out, I really, what I wanted to do was follow what the successful agents were doing. So I was constantly asking them questions. I was always going to any training I could go to. So Coldwell Banker has a lot of training sessions. So I was always making sure I attended a lot of training sessions. I always asked a lot of questions. I think that's the most important thing to do when you're starting out, is to learn as much as you can from the people who are successful. And when I have newer agents, reach out to me, I always want to tell them anything I can that will help them succeed, because it's a tough industry to get to do well in. So the first a year or two, it's tough, and you kind of just have to hang in there, emulate the successful people, because they're obviously doing something right. I know they're working really hard, but they've also got systems in place. So if you can learn from them, and that'll set you off running.
That particular statement is so accurate. Often new people think, oh, I'm afraid to go in the office and ask questions. They're just going to think, oh, what is this new person doing, wasting my time? And that's not how it is at all. They welcome you. They're happy to tell you how they do it. And the fact that you asked questions and watched successful people and watched what they did and listened to their conversation on the phone and such, that was very, very helpful. And Susan, how did you get started when you were brand new?
So when I was brand new, I actually graduated college and I took a job as an assistant to a broker of a really large firm. And so I was a licensed agent, but I was her kind of right-hand person. I ended up reviewing a lot of contracts. We had over 170 agents. And what I learned very quickly was there were a lot of errors. And I think the attention to detail that I learned early on, just working dominantly in contracts, has helped guide me quite a bit, because real estate is so specific. It's really not an industry that you can be casual about or part-time about. You've really got to have a full-time mindset and be willing to take your time to learn the hard things the right way.
In my 30 Days to Success book, and obviously I'm going to show it right now because every day is giving you information on how to get ready for your first 30 days in business. But in that, I asked the new people to do just what you did, and that is to put contracts together as though your significant other, your mentor, is either the buyer or the seller, and practice, practice, practice. Well, you got to do that in the particular role of your job, but what experience to see how to put offers together correctly, and then for you to be able to identify the mistakes. That definitely helped you for sure and gave you great experience. I know that our over 1,000 students that are watching right now, I know they're wondering, wow, how did Susan get to be the broker or become and work to be a broker for the entertainment and sports area of the NFL and the NBA and the MLB? How did that come together? Was that a goal that you had, or were you in the right place at the right time? Tell us about that niche. That is amazing.
Sure, absolutely. It's a very unique niche. It's a special privilege to be able to work with professional athletes and entertainers. And I actually got it through my network. So it was not something I aspired to. It wasn't really something that I thought about. Honestly, for me, everyone is the same. Every client is the same. Price point is irrelevant in the fact that they need our service. They need us to do an excellent job and do our job at a high level. But my network, and I will tell everyone that your network is really the key to your success. You cannot be successful by yourself. You've got to have people that are willing to support you and introduce you to people. And that's actually how that happened. It just started with a lease. It was just a 1-year lease for a professional athlete. And I worked very diligently from there to expand, to grow, to learn what did they need and how could I best support them. And it's very different, just like any niche. we have a few others in the firm that we do niche work for. And it's one of my favorite. I mean, it's just one of my favorite groups of people to work with. They're amazing. We do a lot of really hard work for small leases, but oftentimes we get to sell really big, really big real estate, and that's super fun.
Now, Susan, do you have a team that works with you, or do you work solo?
I have a team. I did not always have a team. I was solo for the majority of my practice, but I learned as I kept escalating in sales and, was doubling my income every year, I realized that I didn't have the ability to manage everything anymore. And I started to realize that I don't need to manage some of the small things anymore. Really, my expertise is very specific. It's negotiations, it's client acquisition. And so I learned quickly that to really support big growth, you've got to have a team. So I've worked very hard to put the right people in place and keep it small, but everyone is really a great worker on the team, and they've just helped me tremendously.
Well, I love that both of you have designations after your name. And I know you have taken the master designation, negotiation course. And congratulations on that. I'm sure it helped a bunch. Every bit of learning that we get helps our career for sure. Let's go over to Kat for just a moment and talk with you, Kat, about your getting started, your many years in the real estate business, and your success. You chose not to have a team. And yet I know for a fact, because we've gotten to know each other a little bit, this month you have 11 closings taking place and doing it all yourself. Tell us how that works for you, and how in the world do you do that?
Well, maybe I could get it to work better if I had a team. I was talking to Susan about that. That might be a step I take at some point. I'm just not ready for that yet. But I have lately been relying on more people, colleagues, to help with showing assistance. That I cannot be in two places at one time, but I'm being very careful about how I do that also, because I know that your clients want to work with you. They don't necessarily want to be shown houses by people that aren't you every time. So I'm being careful about balancing that, because another top producing agent mentioned to me recently, I'd reached out to her and I knew she was using showing assistants more. And I said, how are you doing that? She goes, well, I'm just be careful. People want to work with you, with your personality, with you. And so what I'm doing now is I'm balancing it. I'll meet my client out one time, and then maybe 2 or 3 times after that, if they need to see more houses, it'll be with someone who's helping me do that. And then but I handle all the contracts and the negotiations, and it's me that they're dealing with. It's just the showing portion that's difficult right now because of the way our market is and how everyone needs to see a house within 24 hours. And I have little control over my schedule with the way our market is. We used to be able to have people coming in from out of town, and they'd say, okay, let's go see 6-10 houses this weekend. Well, those houses aren't there to see if you haven't seen them within the first 24 hours to 48 hours. So yeah, I'm getting help with my showings a little more, but I'm still handling all of my back end work. I've used transaction coordinators before. I may get into doing that again, depending on my workload. I'm a little bit of a control freak. I like to see what's going on with my files, but I can let that go. When I get too busy, I'll let that part go.
Well, sometimes being a control freak gives us a sense of well-being. It helps you not feel frustrated. It's like, okay, I know this is right. This is together. And congratulations, because obviously you make it look easy. And as we had talked about earlier, because of your interaction with your clients, they decide at the end of the transaction, oh, I think I'll go into real estate, because Kat made it look so easy. And Susan, the same. It's like, I hear it all the time. Gee, I did such a great job with my clients. They all want to be my competitors now and go into real estate. But congratulations to you, because you all made it look so professional and effortless. You both are beautiful. I think it is so very enjoyable to look at your background. And I mean, literally, because before we came on today, I saw they were both sort of the white and the black outfits and the blonde hair. I told Joseph, our tech person, it looks as though we prepared the whole interview this way. And you make it look so easy and you're so together. Tell our group on a day-to-day basis, what might they look for as far as some possible challenges or some possible stresses? And how do you get through those challenges? Let's start with Susan. Susan, what's a day in the life of Susan Brock like?
Sure. I think the main thing for my everyday is they're all vastly different. In real estate, no 2 days are alike, no 2 hours are alike. And sometimes that presents a challenge in and of itself because you'd like to have a regular routine and a regular schedule. What I can say is one of the strengths of succeeding as a real estate agent is to be flexible. You've got to be flexible and adaptable in order to make everything come together. Especially as Kat mentioned, the 2021 market is very fast and furious. And sometimes you've got to make allowances for a late night client or early morning client or working through lunch. So I think that having a schedule is great. That's the best advice I've ever gotten, is commit everything to a schedule and have it on your calendar so that you don't forget anything. One of the strategies that I use to keep myself connected, especially if it's a deadline or a really important or urgent issue, is using alarms or using my assistant to remind me. If you use alarms, that's great. You can work by yourself and your phone is doing half the work for you, reminding you where to be, where to go, who you need to show up for. But I think that real estate can be extremely stressful. And so it's important that you take some time for yourself every day. And I know a lot of my colleagues are guilty of not doing that, myself included at times. But to really have balance, which is what we're all seeking, and not be 100% work, you've got to take time for yourself, have a plan, but also have flexibility. And also, as you grow, make sure you're beginning to outsource some of the tasks that you were normally doing by yourself, so that you're not feeling the pressure as you grow and your client log grows. There are only so many hours in a day, and your focus at some point is going to wax and wane.
Let me just say, our students are writing away as you're talking. You've given such great pointers. And I want to say to them that Joseph Owens, our wonderful tech support director, and Carla Laraga, our social media director, they're going to have all this posted on YouTube by this afternoon. So students know that you can go back to YouTube and get some great key points from this wonderful interview this morning. But being organized, doing, as you said, using alarms, using software that help you most definitely will make a difference. But the flexibility, we can't say enough about flexibility, because all day long, our plan changes and becomes the plan of our client for sure. Kat, how do you feel about day-to-day? What keeps you going and upbeat and stress-free? What is a day in the life of Kat Lodge like?
Well, I get up every morning about 6. I know some people get up really early to exercise. That is not me, but I go to sleep really late at night. It's probably 12-ish. And then I wake up at 6. I'm taking my kids to school in the morning. I come back home and then I get myself ready for work. So I think it's important, especially when you're starting out, to treat this like a job. If you're not treating it like a full-time job, you're just not going to succeed. So it's really important to do that. I always treat it like a job. Even when I was first starting out, I'd head into the office, I'd be here, I'd be present. I'd go to our weekly, every Thursday we have a big, company meeting. I'd always go to that. So this is one of those jobs where you can do a lot of your work from home, but I feel like you gotta, if you've got an office you can go to where you can see other people, co-workers, get to know people, learn from them. That's really important when you're starting out. And I still do that stuff. I always make sure I'm here at my Thursday morning meeting, even if I don't have to be. I always make sure I'm here. But my average day is taking the kids to school, coming home, getting myself ready, and then I answer my emails that came in overnight. And then I deal with my clients. And every day is different. It truly is. Every day is different. So like today, I didn't know that I'd be needing to show someone a house at 1 p.m. I can't make it. So I'm getting an assistant to help out to show that house. But you just never know what your days are going to be like. And I feel like if you kind of leave your afternoons open in a way, you can fit in a lot of those things that pop up. So first thing in the morning, I'm addressing all the things that need to be addressed. I'm reaching out to people I need to talk to. I'm checking in on transactions to make sure everything's going to plan. I have everything in my phone. I know some people do, a paper calendar type thing. That's not me either. I have to have it all electronic, and I do the alarms. I think another important thing is be good at your time management. Figure out what your hourly rate is. Someone taught me this. Figure out what your hourly rate is. And if you find that it's going to cost you X amount of dollars to go pick up a yard sign when you could find someone to do that for you, do that, because that's not a good use. Eventually, when you get busy enough, that's not a great use of your time to be running around small errands, things like that. So time management, put everything on your calendar. I have that in my phone. And then the minute I'm told that I have a meeting to be at or I make an appointment with someone, that very second I put it in my phone, because otherwise you're not going to remember. So it's very important to your clients that you show up, that you're on time. So instantly, if you set a meeting with someone, put that in your phone straight away. Then you'll never find yourself forgetting things or not turning up on time.
Wow. Each of you have given such wonderful, powerful information. And I think out of everything that you said, which again, I want our students to write all this down. So go to YouTube later today. Treating your business like a business. I mean, you are an entrepreneur. Each of you are an entrepreneur. Everyone taking classes and getting renewal, you're entrepreneurs. You must treat it like a business, and definitely time management. I love, and again, in 30 Days to Success and in Powerhouse Marketing, we show you how to take what your income needs to be, the number of hours per day or per week you're going to work, and know your hourly worth, because it keeps you from, you're driving around a neighborhood prospecting in a geographic area, or you're showing a property and then afterwards you take off and go shopping, in a store or grocery store. But actually it's still your workaday day, and your hourly worth is like $300 an hour. Is that worth your time? So bringing your hourly worth down per hour is a wonderful activity for sure. So you are a great example of how you can do it all. You can be a working mom. How old are your children, Kat?
Well, I joke that every year that keeps changing. It's hard to keep track. The youngest is, I was about to say 8, but he just turned 9. And then the oldest is 11 now. They both recently had birthdays.
That was pretty funny. Every year they keep changing. I love it that you are a successful working mom, and obviously have children. For those that are watching that say, how can I, whether you're mom and or dad, how can I juggle all this? And we know it can work. I mean, I started my business and we have a great family. My husband and I raised 5 children, and it's all about prioritizing. It's all about being a planner for sure, and being flexible. I think flexibility is the biggest thing ever. So back to Susan, I want to ask you, both of you also have a niche in luxury homes. Susan, do you show and sell all price ranges, or do you tell yourself I'm only going to work in a certain price range? How does that work for you personally?
I show and sell all price ranges, Rita. I have actually I'll tell you a quick story. I worked with an investor for many transactions, and I listed one of the last listings I took for her was, at the time, $20,000 house by the University of Houston. And this was a long time ago. But I sold it, and I think the commission on it maybe was $600. That led to over $5 million of referrals just from the way that I worked that $20,000 sale. So I'll be the first to say that don't shy away from business. If it's something out of your scope, out of your reach, and you cannot get assistance for it, don't feel the pressure to take it on. But I definitely would encourage everybody getting started to have eyes open and realize that it's not that one transaction. It's all of the other transactions that you'll get from doing a great job at a high level for that client.
That is a great story, from a 600 give or take dollar commission. You ended up with that investor, that client that brought in over $5 million. You know, that's, again, is a great thing for our new people to be aware of. And don't ever judge anyone by the car they drive or the clothes they wear. You never, ever know. What about yourself, Kat? First of all, I want to ask, is your legal name Kat? Because that is such a great name to remember. How did Kat come around? And then let us know about yourself and going out and showing property, and maybe one of the first ones that allowed you to get your business going. And as well, you have a niche in luxury. Did that happen by choice? Do you sell all price ranges? So first of all, your name. How did Kat come around?
The full name is Catherine, but no one ever calls me that. So yeah, I did think to myself, should I go with Catherine when I'm trying to be professional? But it's fine. I stick with Kat. People like it. I have had people hire me because they like cats. Ridiculous. But I'm like, hey, go with. All right, you're now my client. I'm allergic to cats, but I don't tell them that. I love on their cats when I meet them. But yeah, so I went with that. It's funny too. My husband's last name is Lodge, and yeah, it's kind of it's a bit embarrassing. I'll just let everyone know. With the name Cat first and the last name Lodge, people do confuse it for some kind of a boarding facility. I have been at the front desk once when FedEx was trying to deliver a package here to Coldwell Banker, and the FedEx guy was so confused. He's like, I'm looking for some kind of a pet boarding facility. And I'm like, it's for me. Just give it to me. It's me. And he's like, no, it's not.
That is absolutely hysterical. Hysterical.
So yes, that happens fairly often. But yeah, I work all price ranges. I have slowed down so much working 300 and under. Just because I'm doing this by myself. If I had a team, I'd definitely work in those price ranges too. But it's a really hard market right now for 300 and under. I tell people it's like 10 times the work of a house that's maybe 600K. And if I feel like I'm not going to have the time to be able to show the client that's doing the 300 and under and write up, 20 offers that don't necessarily get accepted because we can't go over the asking price much, then I refer that out to someone I trust. But I was looking back at my numbers for this year, and it goes from 1.4 to $200,000 houses. So it's all price ranges really. I'm finding though this year with the way the market is that if it's a VA buyer and they're spending about $300,000, that's going to be a really tough buy for them. So I've been sending a lot of people to new builds, but when they're a VA buyer and around 300 to 400. So I've been selling more new builds than ever this year, which is great. I love new builds. Especially because you're not going multiple offer situations here in San Antonio with a new build. But I do work all price ranges, and one of my goals when I first started was to work in the luxury market, and Coldwell Banker has a special training for that, so it's a global luxury certification. And so I'm fortunate that I qualified for that, and I did the training for that, and I do get referrals based on having that designation. So other agents within Coldwell Banker from other states and cities, they'll go to the website, they find me on there, and then they read my Zillow reviews and things like that, and watch a video, and then they'll reach out to me and they refer their clients to me. So that's been a good source of business for me. yes, all price ranges. Especially if even if it's a low price point and it's a friend of a former client, of course I'm going to help them. And you do get work from you do a good job. You get work from everyone that you help. I get referrals constantly from former clients and friends, so it's great.
Again, just such valuable information, and everything that you're saying makes so much sense. Yes, you can have a niche, but in reality, at the end of the year, when you're adding up all of your gross income, it came from all different price ranges, and it's being open to all different price ranges. Let's change the direction for just a minute. Our market is so robust. If somebody sees this in 2 or 3 years down the road, right now we're coming out of the pandemic. It's 2021. And in 2020, it was a great change in our market to a very positive upbeat in the Texas area. And 2021 looks like it's going to be even better than 2020. And yet, with this robust market, we've had a lot of changes as far as how an agent goes about their business in real estate. Susan, tell us, with this new robust market in Texas, how do you have your front-end conference with your clients on what to expect when they're ready to buy that home, they've been pre-approved, and yet you go into a market where it's basically a bidding war? Can you tell us how you deal with that and the frustration that comes with the success?
Sure, absolutely. Buyers in 2021, especially in the lower price points, are really having the struggle of their lives. And I think the key in working with them, which I feel like we're going to be in this kind of frenzy for some time, it's not let up yet, is preparing them and helping to lower their expectations. I have found in my life that lowering expectations is one of the best things that you can do to help people not be so anxious or worried. But we do meet extensively at the beginning to really qualify how quickly they're looking to move. I think that's the key in the market. Is a lot of buyers are kicking tires, but they're not ready. And so realizing time is a limited resource, we don't want to be showing buyers houses that they're not ready to offer on really that instant. And so one of the keys that you can utilize is really finding out what's their true time frame. When could they really take possession? When will they have the funds available and be prepared to sign on the dotted line? And then backtrack from there. If they're not ready immediately, they fall in our system from an A lead to a B lead, and a B lead will get more follow-up and more educational style information directed at them, so that when the time comes, I've already communicated with them via video, via blog posts, and via our email campaign, so that when they're in front of me and we're showing, they totally understand the entire process. And I think if you can work to educate them along the way, I've found that it works well to break it out into little segments so they're not overwhelmed. But the more educated you can make your buyer, the better buyer you'll have. And eventually you'll have success because they've learned the market that they're fighting in and the strategies that we need to utilize in order to get them the win.
So how is the market in San Antonio? And taking the lead of Susan with great information on good conversation with your clients on the front end and just talking about their expectations, how do you deal with this multiple offer market in San Antonio, Kat?
Well, it's only really been happening for the last maybe 6 months. And I explain that to my buyers. If they're people, especially that I've been helping, if they live here and they're trying to upgrade, those are the ones that are having, my clients that are having the hardest time, because they're remembering prices that were a year ago. And they're like, hang on, Kat, this house should probably be like 100K less. I'm like, yes, well, the past 6 months, it's gone nuts here. So those are the clients that are having the hardest time with the expectation level. They're still expecting last year prices. and houses here, the houses that they're not even as nice, and they're selling in multiple offers first day on market. I remember it was probably about in March, I put a listing up, and it was my first listing that went crazy. And I thought, what has happened? What is happening? I got the offer, and it was $41,000 over the asking price. And I was looking at it on my phone in the car, and I turned to my husband. I said, they've gotten the price wrong. I was like, what did I list this at? And I'm looking, I'm like, no, this is legit. And then another one came in, it was 35 over. I'm like, hang on a minute. I'm like, okay, something's happening that I hadn't seen yet. And so that was in March when that started happening. There were multiple offers before that, maybe in December timeframe, but not like this. In San Antonio, you used to be able to put an offer in. If you put an offer in and it was asking price, and you put in an offer for asking price, you're going to get that house. Not anymore. And that's just been since March. It's really picked up. And now every offer on my listings that come in, they're all, occasionally we'll get the offer that's the asking price. That's not even getting a look in anymore. So every offer is 25 or more over. And then I lost out on one the other day on my very own street. I put an offer in for my clients that was 35 over the asking, paying the difference in the appraisal gap, paying for the title policy, paying for everything. And we were the second highest offer. Someone went in 80 over. So that house already was priced probably $35,000 too high. So I'll be interested to see how the appraisal comes in, and if that buyer hangs in there. I'm watching it, ready to pounce on it if it comes back on market. But yeah, it's just been the last couple of months where it's really changed, but our market is very busy. And I think it's really important with my buyers. I'm just letting them know, okay, here's what's going on. Here's what I'm seeing on the listing side, because I feel like if your agent doesn't have a lot of listings, they probably don't actually know what's going on. Yes. So I'm seeing it come in, and I'm able to, advise them, okay, if we're serious about this house, you're going to have to at least in San Antonio, it's probably different in other cities, you're going to have to at least go 20, 25 over. And even then, I don't know if we're going to get it, but that's our best shot.
Mm-hmm. And it's really important for buyers and for agents right now to do backup offers, because that first buyer that comes in, and I'm just going to say from California, ready to pay all cash, you have to know if the appraisal doesn't come in for the offer, then you have to have the cash for the difference. And some not really believing they may get the contract or the house themselves. Okay, maybe it falls through. They don't have the cash they said they had. And now you're able to bring in the backup offers. So backup offers are important as well. I also agree that this market's going to stay for a while. It is a very exciting time in our business. Through my business that I've had for all these years, have gone through 3 up and down markets. And I say to all of you, yes, we want this great market to stay, but if it goes into a down cycle in a couple of years, what I've learned is the cycle always comes back up. So you will have downs. And I know both of you have been in the business long enough that you saw the housing crisis and that horrible market. And yet up it comes to a market we never believed possible. That being said, I'm a brand new person sitting in the classroom. What are suggestions you can give to that brand new person? I have my beautiful new real estate license. What do I do to get started in the business? Do I help you out with an open house? How can I help you, the successful agent, as a brand new person? Susan, can you help us with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that it's important to get yourself around as many agents as possible. They're all going to have different styles of personality types. Even, Kat is a late night owl, and I'm an early riser. So keep going to events. In real estate, there are tons of events, and they're coming back after the pandemic. So lenders, title companies, schools will put on mixers, things like that. Go to your office meetings and try to connect with as many agents as you can. If you can follow or shadow an agent, I feel like that is one of the best ways, because real estate is applied knowledge. When you take your test, if you passed it on the first try, that's great, but it wasn't passed on anything you actually have done. And so the key really is repetition for you to succeed. You'll start to learn the flow of a contract. You'll start to learn how to speak to agents. Agents are different. Some of them are very brash, some of them are very pleasant. And you want to pick up on those styles and start defining, who am I going to be in this business now that I've observed my role models? And the ones that you really connect with, ask them if there's anything that you can do to help, or even if you can sit as an understudy. And you may even have a position where you could get on a team. That's always an option in the bigger offices. But get out there. Don't stay at home. This is not a stay-at-home business. Go and be with as many people as you can. If you don't have clients, you should be sitting with agents.
This is not a stay-at-home business. I love that point. And Carla has it out of her chat. Great points. And Kat, can you add your good advice to those points?
Yeah, what Susan was saying is totally spot on and really good advice. It's definitely not a stay-at-home business. Get out there, meet other agents, and what Susan mentioned about other agents' personalities, it's just like your clients all have different personalities. It is so key to be able to get along with the agent on the other side of the transaction. I feel like I have saved a lot of deals that could have gone south just by getting along with the other agent. And I've worked with other agents that are known to be very difficult. I got on with them great. Like I got on with them fine. And I've had other agents that are really tough to work with, and they're hard, and that's okay. That's the good thing about our business, where we're kind of like a 30 to 60 day process. So you can deal with the most painful person just for 30 to 60 days, honestly. You can get through it. So have those good relationships with other agents, meet as many of them as you can. And if you can shadow a successful agent, you're going to learn so much in just a few days from them. You want to listen to how they talk to other agents, how they talk to their clients. I think a lot of this business is personality based. People will work with you if they like you. So it's important to be a people person, learn to take a lot of grief from people, and how to respond to that appropriately is important also. I've had my clients tell me that I'm the most calm and chilled out person. I do get, if I have to get fired up for them, I get fired up for them, but I feel like most of the time I can handle everything that comes up in a transaction in a calm manner. So they really appreciate, my clients really appreciate that. I know that agents on the other side, they do like working with me because I'm not someone who's going to call up and yell at them or scream at them. So that's important, just a relationship building, get out there and meet different people. I didn't know anyone here basically when I started this career. So I had a strategy at the start, which was I got to know the parents at my kids' school by doing PTA work. That's gotten me to meet a lot of people. And then I started meeting people through my HOA. I started helping them with events. So I met homeowners that way. And then I started advertising in my community newsletter. And then I started sponsoring the local swim team. And then I sponsored the local schools. So people know my name, whether they use me or not, they know my name. And I've gotten a lot of business that way. So that's how I've networked myself, because I didn't know many people here. I wasn't from here. So it's important to get out there, meet people, network, do volunteer activities. Although I don't do volunteer activities to obtain work, but I do it because I enjoy it, but I do get to meet people through that. So those are just a few things to think about. I know when we're first starting, they talk about putting together a database of clients, people you can start mailing out to. My database was 10 people when I started out. So having that strategy where you got to just say to yourself, I got to get out there, I got to meet people. That's the most important thing. Meet other people, you'll get clients out of that. Meet other agents, you'll get work out of meeting other agents too, in a way.
These points are so important to our new people. They are so valid. They are so welcomed. And from both of you, thank you for sharing, because you made another good point as well. If our students look at the bio and my introductions for both of you, you could each be very intimidating. And yet seeing your faces and your conversation and your smiles, it's like, yes, I could visit with them in the office. And I know that each of you would be very kind and helpful as well. So thank you for those great points. I want to ask you if you can think to your most satisfying transaction. If you can give us just a little tidbit on what it was and why it might have been your most satisfying transaction. Susan?
Sure. I have several, but the one that comes to mind is the door knocking transaction. So
Door knocking. Did you really say door knocking?
I
That does
did.
not make me think of you and door knocking. Okay, sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
So it's pretty out of character for me. We met a new buyer, and she lamented that 3 years prior, she had worked with an agent and she missed out on the home of her dreams. At that time, she wasn't ready. She didn't know how much she needed to offer. And so she got beat out by another buyer that bought her dream home. And so as we're setting her criteria and really learning what would be a good fit for her, she mentions the house. And so I asked, what was the address? I'm a visual person. So if I can see it, then I know I can replicate it. And so I went, looked at the listing, had the address, and my new partner at the time was with me in the car. And we went, and I said, well, let's just go drive to the address and look at it. And then we'll really know what was it that, took her interest and made this her dream home. So as we pull up, he says, why don't we just go knock on the door and ask if they'll sell it? And Rita, you picked up on me. I'm not, that wasn't my plan. My plan was just to go visually look at the house, have an idea, and then try to replicate that in the MLS. So he says, Susan, go to the door. So I went to the door, I knocked on the door, the owner answered, and I said, would you be interested in selling your house? And she said, yes, actually. I think I'm going to relocate to Dallas. I've got some job interviews, but hopefully, yes, as soon as I get a job, I would love to sell my house. And I told her, we've got the buyer. And so we ended up following up with her she was an attorney. We followed up with her for probably 6 or 8 weeks. And she finally got the job. She said, I'm ready to sell. I have my price. We met our buyer at a nearby wine bar and had a drink with her and said, we're going to take you to see a house that's going to blow your socks off. And we went and met her. They were both attorneys. So they introduced each other. She saw the house was the actual one that she had missed out on 3 years ago, and she was in heaven. And that was probably one of the most satisfying sales I've ever done.
You know what an absolute real estate broker I am? Your story literally gave me goosebumps. That is an amazing story. I love every part of it. And good for you. You knocked on that door. And as I said, I cannot imagine you knocking on doors, but what a great story. And Kat, I'm sorry. I don't know how you can possibly top that story, but let's hear your most satisfying real estate experience.
I can't top that story, but it has got me thinking that there are some doors I should go knock on, because there are clients who still talk about certain houses that before they ever met me, they never got. So I should just knock on those doors. I would say was it my most satisfying? I'm on the flip side of this. I would say my most satisfying transaction was one that was actually probably my hardest ever transaction, and it ended up being my 100th transaction, just coincidentally. So that's why I remember it so well. But my client, and she would say this herself, was very high maintenance. And she warned me at the start that she was. I got on with her great though, but everything that could go wrong kind of did go wrong. And I'd already had her house listed and under contract, and we were under contract to buy a new build when she lost her job. And it was all going to be disastrous. And then I just told her to hang in there. And she ended up getting another job, same industry. Within 2 weeks, we were able to close on her house that she was selling and able to buy the new build. But there were multiple times through that process that she was going to just drop out and put a stop to the whole thing. And she was going to lose her dream house in the process. But she hung in there, and we got really lucky. And I would say that was my most satisfying transaction, because when that closed, I did not believe that was closing until the day that it closed. And they said, no, you never count your money until it's closed. I mean, that one is one where I thought for sure we weren't going to close. It was all going to fall apart, but it closed, and it closed successfully. And she was so stressed through the process because of things outside of my control and outside of her control, really, you know, work and life stresses. But she left me probably the best, most glowing review anyone's ever left me. So it meant a lot coming from her that she left me a good review. So that was my most satisfying transaction, that it got to closing.
What a beautiful story. And there were so many good points in that. The one that comes to mind for me that's most important: don't count your money, your commission, until you literally get to the closing table. But what a great story. And the fact that she gave you glowing reviews made you feel really, really, really great. Okay, we're towards the end of our time. My last question would be, looking back at your lesser experienced person as an agent, brand new with that license, what today might you have said to your younger, less experienced self years back? Would you have changed anything? Or what maybe could be some advice for our new people that you've learned? Susan?
Sure. I would say that the number one thing I would tell my younger self, and I would tell you today, is to have confidence in your ability to do this job and do it at a high level. You have much more years of experience likely than I did getting started at 22. You have volumes of education that you have from your prior career, from your education, from raising your family, from the life experiences you have. And I would say to be 100% you. You can emulate others, or you can follow their guidance or their patterns, or learn their systems. But at the end of the day, God made you you, and your unique focus of your interests, your personality, your communication style. That is what people want. They're going to want 100% you. And I'll tell you, not every client is yours. But the clients that are for you, they'll be 100% for you, raving fans, if you deliver genuinely who you are. So have confidence in who you are. And the second thing I would say is don't hesitate to ask senior agents anything. And I think that when I was coming up in the industry, I relied too heavily on trying to figure every single thing out myself. And what I've learned now, after 21 years, is I want to, give as much as I can to new agents. I'm working with a rookie right now in a contract, and I've given her so much advice, even working on the same transaction. And it's a pleasure for me to be able to help her and make things more clear for her. So they're not trying to hide their game from you. They're not your competition. They are your colleagues, and rely on them, ask them questions, get guidance from them, get yourself in an accountability group or some sort of small group that you can share your wins and losses. So the two things: confidence, and then relying on your colleagues.
Susan Brock with Brock and Foster, that was the most beautifully stated professional bit of information that no one could have said it better. That was absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for that professional statement to our new people. And Kat, again, wow. I know you've got some great thoughts on what you've learned as your younger self to your experienced self today. What can you share with our group?
I would say, so when I first started out, I didn't think big. I thought small. I thought, okay, I'm just getting into this to do a deal or two a year. I would say, don't think like that. Think big, have goals, set goals for yourself to go meet. I didn't do that enough when I first started. I was kind of happy to just coast along for a little while. But really, if I'd have started out with big goals and big dreams initially, with the confidence in myself that I could achieve that, I would have been successful far earlier than I really was. It took a fair few years of doing this before I'd say I got pretty successful at it. And it took a few years before I believed that I actually had a business. It was maybe 2 or 3 years into it, and when I realized, oh, this work is consistently coming to me now, and how's that happen? But yes, set from the start goals for yourself, and aim for those. And I think you'll do really well if you do that. If you turn up, have confidence in yourself, take advice from others, listen to everyone. Don't believe you can do it all yourself. Know when to delegate is also another thing. I'm not good with my marketing, so I delegate that. That's not my niche. So know what you're good at, focus on that. Get help from others, ask questions, be inquisitive, and treat it like a job, and you'll do really well.
Pat Lodge with D'Ann Harper, Coldwell Banker. Thank you so much. Those are wonderful, inspirational comments. I just have to say, every month I think, oh, it can't get any better than this with our 2 superstars that I'm interviewing. But today was really, really special for me. You both have added so much great information for all of those new people and experienced people. And you've also given such a professional image. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your intelligence. I thank you for your kindness, and also for being a champion. Again, without everyone's business watching today, we wouldn't have one at Champion School of Real Estate. So thank you to the students. And so many of the comments are in 30 Days to Success that these ladies talked about today. I encourage you, if you're new, get that book, go through each page. And the goal setting that Kat mentioned is so very important. And then I'm hoping these 2 ladies will be in our volume 3 of Successful Tendencies of Real Estate Champions, where we take our 2 interviewees every month and bring down these great comments into inspirational chapters. Again, Susan Brock and Foster in Houston, Kat Lodge, San Antonio, D'Ann Harper, Coldwell Banker. I thank you, all of our team and students. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, everyone, and see you next time. Bye-bye.